Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. This episode, the game is one of my favorite magazine games of the last few years. From World at War magazine, issue number 47, the May 2016 edition, The Battle of Crete, Operation Mercury. This is one of the operations of World War II that has always fascinated me. I've always been very curious about the Mercury thing. I've read several books on it, including Beaver's book and Hunters from the Sky, and also, I can picture the cover, The Lost Victory. That's the other one that I'm trying to think of that I read over the years. I've also played a lot of Crete games over the years too, and this is definitely far and away my favorite. I've tried everything from, of course, Avalon Hill's Old Warhorse, the air assault on Crete and invasion of Malta, which I still play the Malta game from time to time. I've also tried Mercury Market Garden, which I just thought was awful. Too simplistic, just a mess. Also, I've tried the Mercury game that came with No Retreat, the North African Front, which I enjoyed a lot until I came across this game. And I also tried years ago Hunters from the Sky as well. But for capturing the essence of the campaign and giving you that feel of what is, I mean, let's be honest, this is one of the harder campaigns to recreate. You know, when it comes to military history, there are certain events that are difficult to recreate. The Incheon landing, the Battle of Chancellorsville, Jackson's flank march. What was the other example I just had? And it ran away. But I was also thinking of the Battle of Antietam. You know, Antietam basically was won by the South because McClellan never coordinated anything. He attacked one part of the battlefield after the other, and Lee just kept shifting his men around. I mean, that's hard to recreate, you know, in a game. So this is one of those ones that's always been difficult to do, but I think this system actually does a nice job of it and gives you a feel of what it was like from the German perspective to launch this operation. Okay? Now, since the first time I played this, I will point out one thing, and I haven't played this for a little while. It's been on my table recently, but I was perusing over the errata files and stuff on Board Game Geek, and I came upon a huge change, which I did not realize existed. And that's basically because I haven't touched the game for about a year. So one thing I guess to say about even your favorite games, just a piece of advice, and one that I'm obviously going to execute and exercise myself, is, you know, take a look at the files, you know, on Board Game Geek, or look at ComSim World and stuff. Although I have a tendency to look at Board Game Geek more often because it's, quite frankly, better organized. I'm sorry, but it's true. And, you know, see if there's any updates, see if there's any new stuff. I knew about most of the errata, but there's one huge thing that I did not realize, and it really changes the nature of the game. So I'm kind of curious to see, you know, how that's going to play out now here. So as always, I'm just going to dive right in, and we'll do the immersion process because that's just my style. So here we go. One thing I will say, and I can't remember who did this, but I printed this off Board Game Geek too, is that this sheet here is really neat. Now, Stuka Joe, who's a Board Game Geek member, who also does excellent videos, he did a video of this game too, and he did some playing cards for the sequence of play. Those are also very good too if you like that sort of thing, or if you just like the piece of paper that you can kind of flip over and stuff, which I like here. Again, I forget who created this file, but it's on Board Game Geek, and as you can see, they really did a nice job. You know, the staging phase here gives you the rules there, and then it gets to here into the fine print, and even on the fine print, reminding you things about like the stacking for transports, you know, how they count as double with ground units, and every single thing is cited, you know, with listing in the rules. So that's awesome. That really was a lot of help when I first started playing this, because this game did have some rough edges on it at first. Now, I will be playing with the optional air landing unit instead of the additional mountain division as well. So, with that thought in mind, let's go ahead and let's get rolling here as we get into the air assault on Crete, if you will. Okay. I had a very frustrating game of this last time It was really frustrating because I couldn't find the headquarters, and they were worth more victory points. And then the RAF got a lucky airstrike on my airfield and just blew up a bunch of my planes, and it was just a mess last time. So let's see if I'll have some better luck this time. Okay, so starting off here, the first thing we do is we see what kind of Fliegerkorps staff points we get. This can be used for different functions. And I rolled a 2. Alright, so coming up here to our chart here, I give myself 2 points. Now the next thing you can do on every single turn, and this game lasts 7 turns to the max, and if the Germans don't capture all the ports and airfields, they automatically lose, so keep that in mind. Doesn't matter what the victory point total is. You can spend it on intelligence. Now basically intelligence means that you can pick any one spot. Like let's see here, say here I picked Retimo Airfield, and you roll a die. If you roll 1 through 3, you get to reveal everybody who's there. If not, you get nothing out of it. I really, quite frankly, don't use this option very much at all, simply because you can reveal allied units easier, and I think a little cheaper, quite frankly, in another way we'll get to here shortly. So we don't need the Axis refit phase. There's nothing to fix right now. And the staging phase. Okay, now this is where you basically get your units to missions. You start to stage people, get them organized, etc., etc. Okay. Now, on the opening turn, I have a tendency not to drop my paratroopers blindly into places. I know that's trading off time, but I think it's worth it because paratroopers are costly in this game. If you lose paratroopers, if you get a complete paratrooper unit wiped out, you will lose 5 victory points. That's a boatload of victory points in this game. So, let me go ahead and move here a little bit. And I'll zoom in up here where the Luftwaffe is currently at, and I'll show you here that part of the map. So as you can see here with the Luftwaffe, we've got a couple of different options here. Let's see if I can get down on it a little bit better. There we go. So you can send them on some strategic raids. You can attack the Allied morale. Now the Allies in this game are controlled by a system that gives orders, and you can affect how many orders they can give, and also whether they will evacuate the island or not by attacking their morale with your bombers. And there's also the Royal Navy. Okay, the Royal Navy can try to intercept your amphibious assault, which of course, if you know anything about the Battle of Crete, the paratroopers had a whale of a time, for lack of a better way to articulate it, and eventually they had to land some troops amphibiously. And just like that in this game, you want to get your amphibious troops moving as quick as you can. So I have a tendency to focus a lot on the Royal Navy at the outset of the game. You also can commit your air units to each of one of 4 sectors on the island. The Kenia one, Retimo, Herculeon, and the Letitia. Lasithi. Sorry. Got one name Letitia on my mind for some reason. So if I mispronounce any of these, I do apologize. So you can commit air units to all of those missions. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pound on the Royal Navy. Quite frankly, that's going to be my goal. And I'm also going to send some units down to attack the airfields in each area, and just to see who's there. Okay, and check out the situation. All right. Because part of the problem with this game, and part of the challenge for the Germans, is trying to figure out how you're going to capture all of these things. Most of them are pretty close together. Okay, you have Malimi Airfield here, you have port, you have 2 ports here, you have Retimo Airfield and port, same thing with Herculeon here, but then you have Safkia, I believe, down here, and then way over here out on the east coast by itself is Satia, and that's those are a little trickier to figure out exactly how you're going to handle that. Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and commit a bunch of my planes here, and like I said, I'm going to commit a bunch of them to attack the Royal Navy. Actually, the bulk of my planes I will commit to attack the Royal Navy on the opening turn. Now I will send in some bombers as well to basically hammer some of these sectors here in the airfields. So I'm going to find out what the airfields are holding here. So I've committed most of my planes to attacking the Royal Navy, and I've got the tactical ones I'm going to send to the 3 airfields: Herculeon, Retimo, and Malimi. And they're worth 10 victory points each at the end of the game. You have to get a hold of them. That basically you also need them so you can bring in the 5th Mountain Division as quickly as possible by air landing process. Okay? And we'll talk more about the air landing process when we get that far. So I've done all my staging. Okay? So I'm all set there. Excuse me. Still trying to recover from that summer cold. They are the worst. Alright. So I've got all that set up there. Now, the next phase is the Axis Tactical Movement phase. Well, that would be here on the map, but I have no Axis troops, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay? Strategic Attack phase. Now, each air unit has on it 2 numbers. Okay? And the front number, the 2 there, is the tactical value. So when you're attacking enemy ground units, that's the number you use. The second number is when you attack strategically, which is either the Royal Navy or the Allied Command. Okay, and that's the 4. So obviously I'm using these Henkel 111s to attack the command. Okay, so basically you roll a number of dice equal to the units that you've committed, and like the Henkel, you're looking to roll 4 or less. Every one of those you roll is a hit. If you roll a 6 in a strategic, and I stress strategic because tactical is different. If you roll a 6 on a strategic mission, again, Royal Navy, Allied Command, you lose a step on that air unit, which also will cost you a victory point as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start pounding away here at the Royal Navy, and let's see what we get. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 air units here to attack at 3 or less. So let's see. Whoops, I'm dropping dice. Some days are better than others. Yeah, I know I roll dice in my hands a lot. It's a habit I've developed over the years. What can I tell you? Alright, so 6 of them. So here we go. 2, 4, 5, 6. Oh, well, that's about the worst roll you could have. I rolled a 1, 3 4s, a 5, and a 6. So one of my units got reduced, which is going to cost me a victory point right off the bat. So great, I start with -1 victory points, and I only got 1 hit. Yeesh. Alright. Now let's see, I've got 3 4s. So let me see if my 3 4s can come through here a little bit better. Got 2 more hits from them. Well, that's good news, so that's good. Okay. And then, last but not least, I have my Italian units. Oh. Not only did they miss, they lost a step. So that's another negative victory point for me. Okay. Alright. Now, let's take a look up here. Let me show you these tracks. So these 2 red tracks here, whoops, are the 2 tracks of the Allies. One of them is, again, the Royal Navy. The other one is the Command. Now, the big change that I was talking about was in the original version of this rules, every single hit, you would reduce the Royal Navy level by 1. So right now, I would reduce it by 3. However, the new rules, it's every 3 hits you reduce it by 1 level. So that's a significant change. So before, you know, when I was playing and stuff, it was much easier to pound on the Royal Navy, bring in the 5th Panzer, and hey, let's run amok over the island. So this is definitely going to make things more challenging, which is cool, because, you know, a more challenging game is more fun. So I only dropped the Royal Navy by 8. Now that's a problem because if I attempt to do an amphibious assault, the Royal Navy has the chance to intercept. Okay, and the Royal Navy's interception attempt can be brutal, to put it quite frankly. So right now, if I tried to do an amphibious assault this turn, if I rolled 8 or less with the British, they would intercept and damage some of my units. 9 or better, we'd get through. So as you can see, not so good. Now the other thing you do here, and I'm just going to kind of move the camera and keep the zoom in here. There we go. The other thing you do here is for each hit, you go ahead and roll to see how many victory points you got. So there's kind of a plus minus here too, because there's kind of a positive negative, if you will. The negative is now it's harder to reduce the level. The positive part is that you can really rack up some victory points by pounding on the Royal Navy. Of course, the trade-off is that you don't have those air units to help support the landings on the island. So I rolled 3 successes, so let's see what I get. Oh, well, my luck came back to me. So I rolled a 2, which, as you can see here, 2 is a destroyer sunk. That's worth 1 victory point. But I also rolled boxcars. 2 6s. And that's awesome, because that's a capital ship damage. That is 6 more victory points. So there I am. I had -1. I'm out of the hole. I'm up to +5 VP. But again, don't think I'll be doing an amphibious assault this turn. And that is critical for the Axis, because you only get to do an amphibious assault every other turn. And Germans did not have the capability to sustain amphibious operations like that. So that's another problem you're going to have to deal with here. Okay. All right. Now, well, tactically, time for the tactical air movement. So, like I said, I'm sending down planes to the island at the airfields, because that's where I'm going to be dropping my paratroopers. And let's find out who's home, who's there, and who is not. Okay. So I've moved my tactical air units. Now, the next step would be amphibious, but like I said, I'm not going to risk it. It's too high right now. There's no way. Allied reveal phase. Now, like I said, I don't have a tendency to spend intelligence points, because every single time you have a German unit, whether it's an air unit or a land unit, in the same space as Allied units that are unrevealed, you get to go ahead and reveal everybody in that space and find out who's home. Okay? So, let's go ahead and do that. So, over here at Malimi Airfield, whoo, there's a whole lot of trouble here. There are several strong infantry units with a 3, and then one with a 2. Now, all the combat units in this game only have 1 value on them. And when you do your firing, you're basically looking to roll less than that value to cause a hit. If you roll equal to it, like this 3, so a 2 or a 1 is a hit, a 3 would cause the opposing side to retreat. That can be very bad for the Germans, because the Allies get to retreat off the map into the reserve, and again, you get victory points by defeating enemy units and rendering them incapacitated, if you will, or ineffective, combat ineffective. Now, one thing I do want to show here, because this is a kind of a pet peeve of mine. It's one of the things about the game that kind of drives me crazy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take it off the map, because it's much easier to see off the map here. So before I reveal the guys that are at Retimo Airfield, just want to show you real quick. One of the things that's, and I don't know if they fixed this in the reprint. Hopefully they did. So let's play a little Sesame Street here. Those of you old enough and live in the USA, you know what I'm talking about here. So, let's take a look, shall we? One of these things is not like the others. One of these things is not the same. I wonder, this one here. Look at that mark. And that's King George. Why is that significant? Because if the Germans capture King George in the game, that's an extra 10 victory points. So you always know where King George is. So what I've done to deal with that is, when the King George marker is revealed and it's attacked, I roll a die, and if it's odd, it is him. Hey, nailed him. Or if it's even, then I put him back into the reserve pool and replace with a different unit. That is annoying, though. You know, when you print a game that requires mystery, so to speak, like that, Fog of War, you should be careful with the printing. I'm sorry. That's just, yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm not sorry, because that's just baloney. All right. So, we know King George is at Retimo Airfield. Maybe they're hoping to fly him out before all the ship hit the sand, if you will. Okay, so that's everybody at Retimo. So, who's over here at Herculeon? Oh, we have a special counter. I'm going to have to find out about these guys. It's the RAF Bomber, but I don't think it's going to matter. Oh, actually, it's the RAF Fighter, so let's double check here and make sure. Okay. One thing I will say about the rulebook is that it is pretty easy to find stuff whenever you're looking at. Okay, fire German air units with a rating of 3. An RF counter fires only if there are German air units in the zone. Never fires at ground. There's nowhere to fire a ground unit. Okay. Doesn't count as a unit eliminated. That's just the A. That's says 2 on that one instead of 3. Okay. So it's revealed. It fires at the German air units that are there. Now, as the Germans, basically, you get to choose which units take hits in battle. But if you want to make the game more complicated, you could go ahead and basically call it out ahead of time and make that decision before you actually roll the dice, so that way you can stick with what the result is and kind of make it fair. I'm sorry I'm sounding a little muffled. I'm dropping dice left and right today, and I just lost another one. Okay, I guess some of these guys do not want to play this game, maybe. That could be it. That could be the answer. Alright. Well, fine. You know what? They don't have to play. They can play the next game. Maybe they're holding out for Rush to Besiege, which should be here tomorrow. Woo! Alright. So, it is indeed a 2. So, it'll damage the fighter plane there, so that's another victory point lost for me. And then these guys will fly off into the reserve afterwards. So, basically you got jumped by fighters. So the RAF was on it, at least for this particular space. Okay, so anti-aircraft fire now. Now, there are units in the game, like here, let's highlight Herculean here. We'll highlight different parts of the map when we can. You can see here there are units that have a yellow symbol on them. These are support units. They basically fire at a different point in land battles, which we'll talk about here when we start dropping paratroopers on the next turn. But some of them are anti-aircraft, and then they get to shoot at the planes that are there. Okay? So let's see if they manage to score a hit or not. These guys, they've rolled their dice, and they have managed to produce a 2. Okay, so AAA there. Alright, so it is going to abort the air unit. Okay, oh no, I'm sorry. There are basic and optional rules here, so it's going to damage. Dang. So these guys trying to go in here to the airfield, they got slammed. Whew. Looks like the Allies were waiting for them. How's that possible? How could the Allies have been reading our communications? I wonder. Gotta sneeze. Ultra. Sorry. Anyway, so moving along. So that was kind of brutal there. So you do that with every single space where there's air units, whether it's tactical air units like this or paratroopers dropping in. You roll. Look at this. Oh, they damaged one of my fighters at Retimo too. OMG. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I went off on some kind of Valley Girl tirade there. My apologies. Alright, so that's the anti-aircraft phase. Okay, now tactical air. So we're going to go ahead and finally get some payback here. Alright, so I'll go ahead and roll here on Herculean first since it's highlighted for this particular segment. Now both these guys are reduced, so that's a bummer, man. Alright, I'm going to use my Stuka, and I'm going to go after the anti-aircraft unit because I don't want it to be able to shoot up my paratroopers. And of course I rolled a 5, naturally. Alright, so I'm going to use my damaged ME-109 and do the same thing. They both missed. And they're damaged. This is unusual start to the game. I've already got 4 air units damaged. 5 air units. I take it back. 5 units. That's crazy. Alright. So let's finish up here with this airstrike. We'll zoom back out for that purpose. Oops, sorry about that. Alright, so over here I'm going to use my Stuka. Same thing, I'm going to go after the anti-aircraft unit at Retimo, and yes! Bam! Blew it up. That's worth 1 victory point. Basically, destroying Allied units scores you 1 victory point. With the exception of headquarters, you get 2, and if you find the creme de la creme, the head honcho, the chieftain of the island, so to speak, the 7th airborne unit, airborne headquarters, that's worth 4 victory points. So that's the big enchilada. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take my ME-109 and go after that unit that's a 3 strength. Now they completely missed them. So that's that. So good thing I saved those 2 Flyer Corps air points, or staff points, because I'm going to need them because I got to repair all these air units. Alright, now over here. Now I am going to use my air units to blast 2 of the ground units. I'm not going to attack the headquarters because remember, if you roll equal to the attacking value of the unit, like here this ME-110 is a 2, then it would retreat it off the map. And again, if it retreats off the map, you can't get your grubbly paws on it unless they come back on the map. We'll talk about how that happens in a minute here. Alright, so 110, yeah, scored a hit on that 1 strength unit. And the ME-109 didn't do anything. So, but That's a strong unit that has been hammered at Malimi Airfield. So now we'll be ready here. So now I'm trying to decide where to do my first 2 drops, to be honest. I am starting to think about the 2 airfields that don't have the anti-aircraft unit for obvious reasons. Okay. Alright, so there's no airdrop or landing phase right now. There'll be no ground combat because I don't have any boots on the ground yet. Okay, Allied command phase. So, on the Allied command chart, there's a number underneath where the level is. The level runs from 12 to 1. The number tells you how many times to roll on the Allied command chart to figure out what orders are going to be executed. Okay, and as you go down the scale, of course, that hammers the command structure, hammers the morale of the Allies, and basically reduces their ability to resist, if you will. Okay, so let's see with their 3 commands here, what are they going to get? Alright, ooh. First one is, oh, you're kidding. Ugh. Okay. I'll share in a minute after I roll all 3. I used multiple dice for this reason, for games, because then I can roll, and then I don't have to remember how many times I rolled or what the number was rolled. I just lay it here on the side of the table. See those red dice there? And then I just go ahead and execute. So, 12. 12. Yeesh. The RAF raids Luftwaffe airfield. Swear, it's like they knew we were coming. Alright, so now we gotta roll a die. And however many, whatever die roll it is, I have to reduce that many air units. Which is gonna cost me victory points. Oh, 4. 4 air units got reduced. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Holy smoke. And that's 4 more victory points I've lost. So I'm all the way down to just 1 victory point. Can I get a worse start? Probably not. Okay. Alright, 7 is an offensive in Kenya. Now, let me show you what that means here a little bit closer. Okay. Now, each part of the island is, well, the island is divided into basically 4 areas, 4 sectors, okay, with a boundary line. So if you look down here, you can see this green boundary line separating the Kenya zone from Retimo, okay? Now, whenever you have an offensive, that basically means that units that are adjacent to an airfield or a port move into that space, subject to stacking restrictions. Stacking restrictions in the game is 6 units for each side. So, that basically means they're trying to beef up the defenses of everything here. Now, if you have a unit that has a choice between spaces, you roll a die. So, for example, these guys down here will clearly go into this port here. Okay? These guys here will not go anywhere. These guys here have a choice. They can either go to the airfield or to the port. So, I'll just roll a die. Because notice, red line, that's what connects the spaces here in the game. Odd even, they actually went to the port, which I can't say I'm sad about. So I guess they must think we're going after, at least on this end of the island, they're worried about the ports more. Okay? Alright, now this unit also has a choice between the 2 ports, so we'll have to roll a die for him. And he is going up here too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they are maxed out at 6. So this one here would have had a choice as well too, but he's going to go down here to Suda because he can't go anyplace else along there. And then these guys are going to go into here too, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And then down here, both of these units will move into here. Okay. Now, this order does not affect or does not take effect across boundary lines. So, for example, if this base had been a port, this here would not have, this unit would not have moved into here because they are part of the Retimo sector. Now, those units do move, whether the Germans are there or not. So now, that end of the island just got a whole lot harder to get a hold of. I'm probably going to have to land one of my amphibious forces there for sure. I don't know how else to do it. Whew. Okay, wow. That's some bad luck to start the game. Alright, now there's also an offensive in Herculeon. So let me move you over to there. And we'll follow that one here too. So again, you can see the boundary lines. Okay, one here at Retimo, one here at Lastithi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, so again, they're going to stream towards the port and the airfield. So these guys will move into the airfield. This guy will move into the port. But the good thing is that's basically all there is. Now again, this guy would have to cross the boundary line, so he will not move into the port there. He will stay where he's at. But still, the British have very rapidly beefed up their defenses. That is going to make my life a lot harder here the next game turn. So, and again, rather than attacking the Royal Navy, I could have went after the command level, and quite frankly now, I just kind of went with my default strategy to start this game, which has always been to pound the Royal Navy. But now that it's harder to bring the Royal Navy down, I may end up having to go after the command level first. So, yeah, because that was like just about the worst. The only thing that could have been worse would have been, well, actually I don't even know if it could be worse, because there is a die roll that lets you release reserves from off the map. But beefing up 2 sectors on the map, wow. So I'll have to rethink my strategy here for landings, okay? No Allied counterattacks because there's no German units on the ground. Allied command adjustment. Now basically when the Allied command level goes down, let's say it was at 6, then you would total up how many ports and airfields the Allies still hold. Let's say, for example, they had 4 of them still, or contested. I should say hold or contested. Let's say it was 4. That would bring the Allied command level back up to 10. Now, of course, since the Allied command level is still at 12, there's no need for this adjustment at all. And the last thing you do on the turn is check for evacuation. Evacuation is basically done with the command levels. So, for example, if this was later in the game, and let's say the command level was at 8, if the die roll was higher than an 8, 9 or greater, then evacuation is triggered. The Allies start, hauling dupa off the island and getting the heck out of Dodge, as it were. Okay? All right, and that's that. That's an entire game turn. So, let's go ahead. And that one's pretty quick, of course, because, on the opening turn, there's not a whole lot to do here. Alright, let's go ahead and let's get into the full swing of things here. We'll do some airdrops and things like that here with the second half of this video on turn 2. So again, my staff points. Ooh, thank goodness I rolled a good high number, 4. Because most of my staff points here, I'm probably going to have to spend on air units. Because if I risk air units being destroyed, yeah. Wow. That was just a brutal opening turn. I've never seen an opening turn like that in this game. I was just savage, is what that was. Okay. Now, well, let's figure out which units I'm going to repair here. Well, I definitely want to repair 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want to get all my Stukas fixed, because my Stukas are going to be important. My fighters, if I lose some of my fighter coverage, Now, I saved 2 points because you can use your command points, or your staff points, I should say, to help with the airdrops. Okay, so I'm saving those here. All right. Intelligence? Nope, I'm not going to spend my points on that. I'm sorry, I skipped the intelligence. I skipped it because I just usually don't think about it. So my apologies. It should have been intelligence, then it should have been refit, which I just did. Okay, and you can refit German units when they get on the map, but you need a headquarters unit to do it. So be careful when you're bringing troops in, how you do that. Okay, all right, staging phase. So now I can go ahead and start to figure out what I want to do here. Okay. Boy, this is a hard decision for me, because on the one hand, see, Herculean has this anti-aircraft gun here. I am leaning towards dropping paratroopers on Retimo, because Retimo did not react this time. Kenia is just... Malini's lightly defended, but shoot, there's 2 ports. Wow, all those ports on that end of the island are just beefed up. I'm going to have to launch an amphibious assault no matter what. But I guess what I could do is I could drop my paratroopers and swing them over here to help them clean this part of the island out, and drop in the 5th Panzer as quickly as I can on the Royal Navy, and try to capture one of those ports and then clean the other one out, and then figure out how to deal with this later. Okay, I'm going to do that. So here we're going to stage here. I'm not going to risk my amphibious assault. I just don't feel like I can. Okay, so I'm going to put basically on... I'm going to put, again, a lot of units on the Royal Navy in those areas there. Actually, I'm going to put most of my ground units on the Royal Navy here. I'm going to use one unit here to attack a Herculean because I want to try and hammer that to try and drop airborne troops now next turn. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to commit an air unit to attack Retimo Port, and also 2 of them over in Kenia to attack these 2 ports, because this is huge. I got to find out who's home there and what's going on. Okay? Alright. So that way, like Bill Murray and Scrooged, I won't be like stuck and be like, I know what I'm doing. I know what's going on. Hey, what's going on? Well, right now I don't know. So we'll have to figure that one out. Okay? Now I'm also going to stage some paratroopers here. So I'm going to stage 2 paratrooper units and 1 support unit. We'll drop 1 on Malimi, and we'll drop the other one on Retimo. So let me get these guys here. Oops, yeah, let's bring in the strongest support units here. So, and I have a tendency to do support units for a reason that I'll explain here in a little bit. Okay, so just kind of hold that thought for the moment while I'm getting everybody ready. Now, here's the thing though with doing paratroopers. Paratroopers on a transport plane count for stacking. So in other words, since the 3 paratroopers count, you can only have 6 air units in a space. So 3 transports can only hold 3 paratrooper units. So you're only really getting to drop 3 a turn, which is why I'm kind of reluctant to drop them anywhere where things have been beefed up too much. Okay. The only thing I was lucky with is that Malimi Airfield is not really connected very well to neighboring spaces over on the western end of the island. Okay. So I got everybody staged. Okay. No tactical movement because there ain't nobody on the map. Strategic. Alright. So this time strategic, I'm going to actually split it up a little bit. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put 4 Stukas on the Allied command. And I'm going to put all my Henkels and my DO-17s and a Stuka and the Italian air unit on the Royal Navy. So let's go ahead and let's start with the Allied command. So 4 Stukas. Looking for 3 or less. No whammies, no whammies. In other words, no 6s. Well, okay, about a 50% success there. I rolled a 3 and a 1, no 6s, so that's good. So every hit reduces it, but the problem is I didn't reduce it low enough to get rid of the die rolls there. So, yeah, it probably was kind of a dispersion of my strength, I'll be honest. But I also want to show you as many aspects of the game as I can when I do my videos. So that also factors into my thinking here. Alright, so if you ever meet me across the board, don't necessarily think you'll be able to kick my dupa. I mean, you know, you never know what I might be holding in reserve here. And I got my finger alongside my nose right now, for those of you in the know. So, sorry. 3. I've got 3 air units with 3s going after the Royal Navy. No hits and 1 6. Dang it. So I got another damaged air unit. So I'm right back where I started. Dun, 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 dun. I'm at 0. That's crazy. Alright. As my one friend used to say at the school I used to teach, all used to be like, it's crazy, man. It is. Alright, at least 3 4s. I need some big money here. Oh, come on. Yeesh. I got 1 hit. 1. And I also got another damaged air unit. So unfortunately, I got another guy flipped, and I've got -1. And here comes a better one here. I just lost the Italian unit. So it's been wiped out. An air unit that's eliminated. That cost me 2 victory points. So I'm down to -3. Wow, that's all I can say is wow. I've never had a game start like this. This is like epically bad luck. This is like being given a free ticket and say, hey, you know what, Tim? You want to go to New York? Go ahead. Here, you can take my ticket. Oh, great. What ship am I sailing on? The Titanic. Perfect. I'll be there really soon. It's modern. It's great. It's sleek. It's... Oh, okay. By the way, if you've never seen the movie Titanic, I will save you about 5 hours of your life with a director's cut. I can sum it up in 3 sentences. Boy meets girl. Boy gets girl. Boy freezes to death in the North Atlantic. That's the movie. Alright, so I only got 1 hit on the Royal Navy. Now remember, that means I don't reduce the level at all. Hopefully this is a 6. Hey, it is! So, that's worth 3 points. Remember, capital ship damage. So, again, dun 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 dun. That's Maxine Nightingale. I'm right back where I started from. Holy cow. Okay, so, tactical air strikes here. Alright, so I'm going to go over here to the Kenia sector with these guys and find out who's hanging out where in those ports. Retimo, I'm going to do the same thing at the port of Retimo. Now, remember what I said about the paratroopers. I can't give them any tactical air support because that would violate the stacking limits unless I only drop 2 paratroopers, and I just wouldn't recommend that, quite frankly. And then over here at Herculeon, I will go ahead and bring in that tactical air unit there. Okay. Alright. And now my paratroopers are coming in as well to their landing zones. There are transport counters, but they're messed up. So what I just do, quite honestly, is I just put my paratroopers down, and if any of my transports get damaged, I just put a yellow dye over where the transports are. They're off the map on the picture here right now. And that's how I record hits on them. Pure and simple. Okay, so amphibious. I'm not willing to stick my neck out yet. Gosh, this whole new Royal Navy rule is going to be really tough. This is going to make this a lot tougher nut to crack. Okay, Allied reveal. Let's see. Now remember, Herculeon was... I'm sorry, not Herculeon. What am I doing? No, Retimo Airfield. Sorry, I messed myself up. I apologize. Retimo is where the paratroopers are coming in. Okay, but Herculeon still has to be revealed. Holy smoke, there's another anti-aircraft gun. Whew, good thing I did drop those guys there. Alright, no worries at Retimo because there's nobody face down. What do we got here? Alright, we got the RAF fighter plane, which this one is a 3 or less. Attacking. The damaged air unit. Oh, phew, that one missed. Okay, so that one goes back into the reserve over there. Let's see what this stack looks like here. We got an anti-aircraft unit here too, so that's a problem. Alright, at the port, we've got a boatload of people, including 1 headquarters and 1 anti-aircraft unit. Okay. Over here at the other port, the Kenia port, we got another anti-aircraft unit, at least 1. Oh, and we got a special marker too. We got an ambush marker. Okay. Now, an ambush marker basically means we're going to be able to add enemy units to the space. Let me see if it's just 1 or if it's a die roll. Let's see. Pick a number of allied units equal to the lower line of the allied command level index, which is 3 right now. Place them in the zone where the ambush counter occupied. Well, I can't do that because I would overstack. What I can do is I can get 1. So I will grab 1 and put it in there. So that port is going to be an absolute nightmare to capture. Whew. This whole campaign has turned into a big old... It's foobar already. I don't know if I'm going to be able to extract myself from this mess. I guess we'll find out. Alright, anti-aircraft fire. So here we go. There's 2 anti-aircraft guns at Herculean Airfield. And they both missed, so that's at least good news. Over here there's 1 at the Timo port. They missed. Also good news. There's 1 over here at Suda. They also missed. Also good news. And there's 1 at the Kenia. They also missed. Also good news. And that's it, because there's no anti-aircraft guns at Malini Airfield. Okay, now, tactical attack phase. So here we go. Here comes the Luftwaffe. Well, obviously, at Herculean Airfield, I'm going to try and blast those anti-aircraft guns. With 3 or less, I rolled a 2. So, bam, nailed 1 of them. Excellent, and picked up a victory point. So we're back on the positive side. Okay, so that's good news. Again, excuse me. Alright, next here. I'm going to use the fighter to try and drive away that anti-aircraft gun. I failed at that, so, oh well, it's okay. Alright, same thing over there. I'll use the fighter to do that. And again, basically I ran these fighter sweeps, which you can think, you know, like there's recon planes going with them and stuff, or some of the fighters themselves are just doing recon, finding out who's there, You know, who's home and who's not. Okay, I'm going to use the fighters here to go after those top 2 units. So the anti-aircraft gun, missed. And then that 2-strength unit there, also a miss. Alright, so the Luftwaffe has definitely dropped the ball for me here. They let the RAF bomb their airfields. I swear, when I roll here in a little bit again for that command thing, if I roll another 12, yeah, okay, so here we go. Alright, German airdrop phase here. So, just to show you how this works, I'll zoom in on one. Let's go ahead and zoom in on Retimo, because it's the easiest one to do. It's right in the middle of the board. Okay, so we're dropping in on Retimo. Now, basically there's a table. Now, that's really enough. And you can use a command point to add +1, which is why I was saving my 2 command points. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to drop for these guys. They're dropping on an airfield, so here we go. So I got the 2 units there, 5 and 6. High numbers are good. They landed easily enough. The support unit. Oh, no. Alright. They got reduced. Saying that oh no like that, I feel like that Bugs Bunny cartoon. Shoots! Oh, no. Alright, we're on the ground, but we're reduced. Okay, same thing over here at Malini. I will use a point. Got my 2 guys. Oh, shoot. One of them got reduced. Dang it. And I've got my support unit, which is okay. Alright. Now, it is a double-edged sword because, honestly, if I hadn't used my point, I rolled a 1, that would have been scattered, which means it would have dropped someplace else. But if they had dropped in on a very bad situation, 1 unit by itself against, like, say, 5 or 6, not so good. Okay, so we're on the ground. Now we're ready for Axis ground combat phase. So let's go ahead and move through that. And then let me check my time. And I might pause and come back. We'll see. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, just to show you how the combat works, let me just move this up a little bit, you know. We'll just go up the coast here. Yeah, we'll just go up the coast here. So what I do to mark my battles is my my little nuclear war glow-in-the-dice dude. Glow-in-the-dark, glow-in-the-dice. Holy smoke. I'm rattled by this whole result right now. Glow-in-the-dark dude. Okay. Alright, now battles basically only last 1 round. And you have the tactical edge. Find out who shoots first. That's important in this game because if you shoot first and you hit first, much like Han Solo in the original Star Wars, you're going to nail the enemy and they're not going to get a chance to shoot back. So that is critical. You divide your units into basic units and support units. Support units always have yellow and support units get to fire first. Okay? And again, we have a table. It's got all kinds of modifiers, so let's just add them up here. So +1 for the Allies because it is a German airdrop. +1 because it's command level's high, so that's +2 to the Allied die roll. +1 if there's an elite. They both have an elite unit. You see the little star looking thing there, plus thing next to this German unit and next to King George. So +3 for the Allies, +1 for the Germans. Command level low. Nope, no help to the Germans, and I don't have a staff point to spend. So +3 versus +1. And of course you can imagine what happened there, although not by much. Actually, the Allies ended up with a 4 against a 3. Wow. I thought it would have been worse. Okay, so now support units fire first. So even though the Germans lost the tactical edge, this unit will get to fire first. Okay. Now different spaces can have reductions, like town spaces. The tactics combat value is reduced by 1, so instead of being a 4, it'd be a 3 for those paratrooper units. But here it's an airfield, and there's no effect. So I'm going to go ahead and target that big Greek unit, the 3-1 there, and try to get 2 or less. Okay, I rolled a 2. So good news, bad news. The bad news is I don't get any victory points. The good news is they did retreat. So they are out of the battle. And that, of course, now will help me to secure the airfield faster. So, again, good news, bad news. Alright, so that support unit did help. Now, we have the 2 allied units here. Okay? And again, you know, the Germans can divide hits up as they want, but if you want to, again, make the game more challenging, then just play it like a real player and just call out. So I'm going to have them both shoot at each of those paratrooper units across from them. So we got the 2 or less unit, and it rolled a 1. Then we got King George's unit 3, And they also rolled a 1. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, wow. Okay, so my airborne unit took the hit, and that's 2 victory points when an airborne unit is reduced. Now, technically speaking, when the die roll is equal to the value of the attacking unit, the other unit can retreat. It has the option. But unfortunately, if we zoom out here a tiny bit, you can see none of the spaces adjacent to the airfield are either empty of enemy units, or they're not empty of enemy units, there's enemy units there. If one of them was empty, you'd be able to take off. So unfortunately, I have to take that as a loss. Because you do have the option, you can stand still. But I don't even have the option. Alright, you know what? I'm going to have, at the risk of losing my mind, I'm going to have both of my airborne guys try to capture King George. Because if I don't get those 10 victory points, I'm going to be screwed. Alright, so the first one, got a 2. Yes! Hallelujah! Hallelujah! 10 victory points for nailing King George. So +7, like that. Alright, and now the other one will go after the unit, the weaker unit there. They rolled a 3. So, good news, bad news again. They will have to retreat. So I won't get victory points for them, but it is going to make the airfield easier to secure. So, Ritimo has been secured, but at great cost. Ridiculous amount of cost. Alright. Let's head across the map here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to finish off this movement here, this ground combat, and then I'll do the Allied command phase and the counterattack phase, because there will be potentially a counterattack here, and then maybe do a little bit more the next video just to give you, to wrap things up, and then I'll give some of my thoughts at the end. Okay, so we organize everybody here at the Malimi airfield. And again, it's basically going to be the same situation. It's going to be well, here's going to be +3. I don't have any elite units for the Germans at all. So the Allies will get +3. Yeah, it was no sweat. Okay, but again, Germans have a support unit. The Allies do not. The support unit gets to fire first. And again, this is why I did that. So this support unit is 4 or less. I'm going to go after the headquarters unit. I know that's going to let those stronger units fire, but it'll give me 2 victory points. Yes, it's a 3. So, bye-bye headquarters unit. Hello, 2 victory points. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that wasn't the big enchilada. I didn't think it was. Doesn't say 7F. Nope, it's 4th New Zealand. Okay. Alright, so I gambled here a little bit. Let's see if my gamble pays off. Of course, the way my luck has gone so far this game, I probably shouldn't have gambled. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have. Alright, here we go. So I'll have them attack the 2 units there. I'm going to have the 3 British Commonwealth 3 unit go after the damage unit, because that makes more sense. They rolled a 6. Whew! And then the 2 unit will go after the full strength unit. Dang it! And they did roll a 2, but. Haha! Can this show up? Yes, it shows up. But look, Malimi Town is empty. So I could retreat those guys into Malimi Town, because it's empty. And that's what I will do. So the battle for Malimi Airfield is going to rage, and that will get into the Allied counterattack phase. Okay, so I'm going to stop here on this opening video here, turn 1.5 if you will, and I'll come back and do a little bit more just to show you a little flavor, especially since this is such an odd game. You know, I've never had this many air units get pummeled like this. So this is definitely, this is coming way out of left field here. Okay, so again, I'll come back, I'll shoot another video doing the rest of this turn and probably the first half of the next turn. Maybe I'll even try an amphibious assault just for the fun of it to show you how it works. Even if the Royal Navy doesn't get pounded down too much, I have to take my chances because I'm going to be running out of time otherwise. Okay, alright, so this is Tim Korchnoi from Bare Bones Wargaming saying thank you for watching. Berlin is calling because they want to know what in the wide world of sports is going on here. Because this has got to be one of the worst starts to this game I've ever had. But again, it's a lot of fun. So, I'm sure, spoiler alert, but I'm sure you'll notice here. Well, hold on a second. I'll pause 5 seconds for anybody who wants to shut off the video. I really like this game a lot, so that'll be part of my comments next time. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next episode.